Hey guys. So you likely have come across um Walter mentioning about his video with regards to a song that he worked on recently called Dance. I myself follow him on Instagram, and recently I had the opportunity to, you know, have a nice brief chat with him about, a few things. And also got to get a couple pictures with him through Comic Con Revolution. As I did point out when I was actually over at the panel for Power Rangers 30th anniversary, you know, 2009, last time saw the guy. But the first time I walked up to him. I was with my little brother. It was his first time actually meeting the guy, and I did explain to him, though, last time I recall seeing you, arguably, was in August at Power Morphicon. And he was pretty cool about it. He was like looking at my brother, and he's kind of like, from this time to like August is like, a certain time frame. And he actually did a cool, like, secret handshake with me, which was pretty awesome. And, we just spoke a little bit about the show. And I eventually pulled out the script from Forever Red. And I obviously asked him, to sign it after I paid. The thing was that I actually knew he just did voiceover, and he obviously explained to me it was his first time actually signing a script from an episode that he only did voiceover, which, I mean, I obviously knew. I just didn't say much. I did ask a little bit about Mighty Morphin, although this time I kind of forgot what it was I asked about. Then when it came to the panel, I did mention to him that, I said thank you for, answering my question on Instagram about Richard Janelle, rest in peace. And then I asked simply, what were their favorite memories of, working with the guy. And, Walter, Karen, and Catherine, shared what they remembered when working with him. That being said, like I said, he just recently posted the video of his concept song called Dance. This will be my first time watching it. So, yeah, let's see how it goes from here.
Yeah, so I am coming out with my first song that I'm going to be releasing. I'm excited about it because it's a song that talks about something that I love and that's near and dear to my heart. It's dancing. And often when I go to Comic-Cons where I'm out in the world, one of the things I really enjoy is getting people to dance. I mean, it doesn't matter if you can dance, if you feel like you can dance, or you do dance well, I want you to dance with me. So this song is something that was inspired by that, by my love of dance, and my love of watching people dance and having people dance with me, because I believe that when you dance, it makes you happy. The name that I'm considering going with for my project is Trey Emanuel. And Trey Emanuel, because there's my dad's name was Walter Emanuel. My name is Walter Emanuel. My son's name is Honor Emanuel. So Trey meaning three, Emanuel meaning Emmanuel, and Emmanuel means God with us. I just wanna dance. The sun come up all night long. The sun come up. I love to see you dance, dance, dance. Lose yourself and dance, dance, dance. You make me wanna dance, dance, dance. All night long, all night long, all night long. set the vibe. You got me hypnotized. I'm swimming in your eyes. I might just take a dive. It's a celebration. Let's keep it elevation. We pour up just to waste it. When we get like this, I just wanna dance. Dance with you all night. Till sun come up. Dance with you all night. All night long. Dance with you all night. Till sun come up. Dance with you all night. I love to see you dance, dance, dance. Lose yourself and dance, dance, dance. You make me wanna dance, dance, dance. All night long, all night long, all night long. All night long. All night, night, night. Keep your hands up in the sky. This party bona fide. Turn on the flashing lights. Let's make this come to life. It's a celebration. Let's keep it elevating. We pour up just to waste it. When we get like this, I just wanna dance. Dance with you all night. Till sun come up. Dance with you all night. All night long. Dance with you all night. Till sun come up. Dance with you all night. I love to see you dance, dance, dance. Lose yourself and dance, dance, dance. You make me wanna dance, dance, dance. All night long, all night long, all night long. All night long. All night, 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 night. Dance with you all 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 night. All
Okay, so I did finish watching and listening to the song. While I did grin a little bit about it, and just listening to the music and watching the whole video, I will admit that it makes sense. And for those that are creative, for some people they do really well. Others, it just depends on the person. That being said, what I like about it is that there are certain things that are considered universal regardless of ethnicity, regardless of, the usual superficial nonsense that I hear every day. That being said, one can definitely agree that music is definitely universal, regardless of, wherever you live in the world. And each has, their own specific tastes. Some like classical, others like jazz, others are into hip hop, pop, rock, whatever you have with regards to genre of music. And you know what? That's fine. I mean, if you like what you like. But I will admit that in the case of what gets people going, myself, since I'm a bit of a 90s kid, basically I'm kind of like into a bit of the old stuff from like 70s onward to a degree. But ones that I really enjoyed the most were arguably some of the pop music to a degree. Like, take for example NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys. But the one that easily comes to mind for me in terms of music is the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson. Now, I know that when I went to Power Morphicon, Walter E. Jones played a little bit of his music while, interacting with somebody. And I remember I was still waiting in line to meet with one of the Super Sentai actors, Gokai Red himself, Ryoto Ozawa-san. Now, I did want to try to ask him about, meeting his Sentai counterpart, and unfortunately, I missed that chance. However, I do recall asking another of his co-stars, Austin St. John, a similar question. Now, when I watched the interview that Kat and Nakia had on Power Rangers Playback when they were interviewing Austin St. John, I was not surprised when someone asked the exact same question I did, although I tried to keep it simple on my end when I spoke with him via GalaxyCon. So overall, I did enjoy listening to the music, watching the video. Walter's explanation of, why he's, into music, dancing, it makes sense because, it's also part of who he is. I find it interesting where he gives a little bit of a background in terms of, himself and all that. It makes sense to me. Me, just being an average creator myself, I'm a bit more on the writing side. I'll put it this way. With regards to the late Jason David Frank, God rest his soul, I may not have had the chance to actually meet him face to face like many of you guys. For those of you that had, I'm not exactly jealous. I'm really happy for you guys. And looking back on the franchise, I'm actually more happy that I actually got a chance to meet some of them. And I still remember and will forever remember when it was New Year's Day 2020, and Jason David Frank was working on Legend of the White Dragon, and I did support the project financially when it got revived for a second time. That being said, I am forever grateful that I got the chance to at least talk with him for a few minutes. I even got a digital selfie and he signed it. So there's that at least. And sometimes when I interacted with him on Instagram, that I actually let him know that I was more on the philosophical side. I sometimes like to write. And what's funny is it seems like he sensed and knew that the way how I'm responding to some of his posts, and I have a certain number of receipts and all that, it's like he somehow knew from how I was writing. I mean, not writing, but responding. However, there's one fun memory that I'll never forget, and it's actually a roast that he did on me. So I'll try to make it brief. What happened was that he made a post with regards to a custom chopper that he had. I forget the vendor, but it looked really cool. And what happened was I told him that green was a favorite color of my mom. So sometime later, I see a notification. He responded. And what really got me was I took a quick glance at it, but I didn't look at it very thoroughly. But he told me, he's like, I'm surprised you didn't see the green Dragon Zord coin that was on there. And I was like, really? So sometime later, I look at it again. I took a look at the picture very carefully, and sure enough, I missed it, and I was like, oh my gosh, how could I have missed that? I mean, the fact he caught me on that, and I was like, I did not see that, and he literally called me out and roasted me on it. I was like a little bit embarrassed. I found it a little funny, and I was like, the fact he caught me on that, oh boy, I'm gonna remember that for the rest of my life, among a few other things. But the guy, he did a few video poems, and I did let him know once that I actually enjoyed it. And somehow he definitely reminded me of why I sometimes write poetry every now and then. For me, that's how I am in terms of being creative. I like to write more than, dress up and cosplay. To me, that's just a hobby. Listen to music, that's just a hobby. But he definitely inspired me like some of the other actors have in their own way. And in the case of Walter E. Jones, he is a very creative individual. I know he likes to, discuss with fans about, some of the other previous projects, that he was on. Like someone mentioned in the panel, House Party, a film that he was in. He was also in the Disney original movie Brink, which I briefly mentioned to him, gave my general thoughts. And overall, like, the guy is great. And, I really enjoyed talking with him. But that being said, if you want to check it out, I will leave the description below. And I will leave the link in the description below. Sorry about this. Early in the morning here. But yeah, that being said, just give my general thoughts. If you want to follow him, I'll post even the link on Instagram. So go check him out. This is Skyhound, signing off for now, also known as the Geek Detective. Peace.